Welcome back to Cancer Buzz. I'm your host, Summer Johnson. We know that for cancer survivors, the end of active treatment is not the end of the emotional journey. Treating the whole person involves addressing this stage of the cancer continuum with the same urgency. Today, we're looking at the role of paramedical tattooing as a critical part of comprehensive cancer care. We're joined by Taylor Keeney, a certified paramedical tattoo artist and author of the article Restoring Wholeness in the latest oncology issues. Also joining us is Eraina Smith, a breast cancer survivor who worked with Taylor. Let's head into that conversation now. Taylor, do you see patients with cancer every day?
Not every day, but whenever I am working with someone that has had breast cancer, I typically see them about 6 months after their final reconstructive surgery. That's the time where we are allowed to start working on the skin. We want to give it plenty of time to kind of settle after surgery and make sure everything is done shifting around and moving. After going through something super invasive like chemotherapy and mastectomies or lumpectomies, whichever surgery you opted for, the skin is in a very vulnerable position. So we like to give it a good amount of time just to make sure where we do place the tattoo, it actually stays where we want it to.
How did you get plugged into paramedical tattooing in particular?
I started in the beauty industry probably, I think it was in 2017 as an esthetician, and I worked in that field for about 7 years. And I really liked the way that it allowed me to connect with women in a very vulnerable way, a very intimate way. But I knew that I wanted something that felt a little bit more meaningful.
What have you learned about these patients with breast cancer?
I think that unfortunately, cosmetics can be seen superficial in today's society, especially with women. And so it's kind of frowned upon when people hear cosmetic tattooing. They're thinking it's just something a little bit superficial, but it just plays a big role in their overall mental and emotional health, their general psyche, how they view themselves. It's very symbolic to really help them close that chapter of breast cancer and kind of get to move forward into their life, into the next chapter.
Are patients even aware this exists?
A lot of people aren't. I'm in New York now, and I think that it is a lot more common here in New York. A lot of that is due to the bill that was passed in 2024 that specified areola tattoos as a part of breast cancer reconstruction. Now that I'm here in New York City, I do notice that there's a lot more artists available, there's a lot more resources available, and I think a big part of that is due to the fact that the bill that was passed in 2024. This bill specified areola tattoos as a part of breast cancer reconstruction. It was the first one in the nation to explicitly specify areola tattoos as a part of the reconstruction. It kind of backpacks with the Federal Women's Health and Cancer Rights Act, which states that any medical insurance company that covers the removal of the breast cancer has to cover the reconstructive procedures following all the way until the end of your breast cancer journey. However, with that bill, they didn't use explicit language that specified what all the reconstructive process entailed.
Eraina, let's move to you. Tell us a little bit about your breast cancer story, and were you aware about this kind of tattooing?
Initially, no, ma'am. I was not aware at all. I developed breast cancer in 2019. No one in my family on either side had ever had any type of breast cancer. And I was offered radiation and a lumpectomy. I decided on a double mastectomy. And I could not do the nipple sparing. So I did lose my nipples and had the complete reconstruction with the implants. And just was kind of left feeling a little still like I don't feel normal or look normal, like, still a little apprehensive about what I look like or what my breasts look like after reconstruction. And I did see on Facebook about the tattooing, and I heard about a company that would help the financing of the areola tattoos. And Taylor reached out in reference to my post of getting funding from the Pink Fund Foundation, and was willing to do the tattooing for me, and it was a great experience. I came out of that experience feeling, I guess you could say, more complete or more whole. Like I felt more like myself, and I looked like a woman and looked normal, like my breasts looked normal. So it did help a lot with the self-esteem and with the whole process, as you navigate what being different or feeling different again.
So it sounds like you came across this on your own on social media. Your healthcare team didn't make you aware of it.
No, ma'am. They did say some hospitals may have offered it, but they were not recommending because of the results that some women had with hospitals. It really wasn't good results.
Eraina, can I ask, did your insurance cover this, or how did that work in the state of Texas?
No, ma'am. At the time, I don't. No one really knew a lot about it. Insurance was not covering it. There's a place called the Pink Fund, and I heard that they help assist, which they did offer a portion of the money, not everything it would cost to get it done. And I went from there. That's what I posted on social media. I think that Taylor responded to, seeing that I was excited about being funded to with help, to get the breast tattoos, the areola tattoos. And that's when she reached out, and we connected and talked about, me letting her be the person to do it for me.
It sounds like, Taylor, you're just randomly reaching out to people on social media and changing their lives.
No, not exactly, but I did realize that it was something that wasn't talked about enough within the medical community. And so I started reaching out through support groups and trying to find different outlets to connect with these women since I saw that they weren't getting the resources they needed from the doctor's offices.
Taylor, you shared a little bit about the feedback that you've received from patients, but Eraina, are you even able to tell us in your own words what this meant for you at the end of your cancer journey?
Yes, I'm sorry. It is. I, I know Taylor maybe doesn't realize this because she's a sweet person and she's very kind and caring. But that experience did change my life. It meant so much to me that she cared enough about someone that she didn't know going through the things that I went through. And just being able, at the end of this journey to find some sense of normalcy and feeling like a whole woman or complete, or, being able to look in the mirror and not cringe at myself like I've heard some women, after surgeries, when how they see themselves or perceive themselves. So the work she did was so amazing. When I went back to my I'm so sorry. When I went back to my surgical oncologist, my plastic surgeon, he looked at my breast and he was like, "What did I do?" And I said, "You did a double mastectomy." And he said, "Where did you get the tattooing on your areolas?" And I told him who did it, and he said, "She did such an amazing job. Your breasts look like no work has ever been done to them." So it was life changing, and I appreciate her so, so much. Forever grateful.
Oh, thank you, Arena. I appreciate you too.
That sounds really meaningful. We're so grateful that you're speaking with us today, Eraina, and we're so sorry that you had to go through that. In the future, what would your dream world be for patients like you with this service?
I just wish that all women could have the same experience that I have, where at the end they see themselves the way they did before, like as normal or as normal can be. But I mean, I feel the same. I mean, I can wear swimsuits, I can wear sexy tops. I can do anything that I did prior. And your self-esteem, it's not just a physical, I believe it's more on the mental side too. You go through a lot of different mental changes as well, and emotional changes. So to be able to look normal after everything you've been through, that's really important to someone who goes through that, that process.
I really hope you gave your healthcare team Taylor's number.
I did give him her information. Now, I'm not sure what he's done with it, but I definitely did. She's amazing.
To that end, Taylor, we know a little bit about how you got connected with Eraina, but how are you connected with different healthcare systems in New York City? How do you let the healthcare community know about you?
So a lot of physicians' offices are very worried about the liability aspect of it, which I think makes them more hesitant to offer these services or these resources to their patients, which is very unfortunate. And here in New York, the bill that I was talking about, it does actually say that a physician has to be the one to perform the medical tattooing in order for it to be covered by insurance, which kind of introduces a new problem because the physician is booked up with so many different things. Their time is very limited for that. And they also might not have the specialized training that someone who is just focused on medical tattooing would.
What about the community of paramedical tattoo artists? Do you think every state even has them?
I think there are some in every state. I think probably tucked away. I think they probably don't have a lot of visibility. I've also heard of some typical, more traditional body art tattoo artists doing these tattoos, but I've also met some that have been in the tattoo game for years, decades, and they are not comfortable working on that compromised skin, how I was talking about earlier, just because they're not sure how it's going to react to the inks and is the tattoo going to hold? And of course, when someone's in this vulnerable position, you want to give them the best results possible that are going to last a lifetime.
When we're talking about patient access, it seems there could be a lot of barriers. Tell us about those barriers that you've heard through feedback from patients.
I would think the number one barrier overall would just be lack of knowledge and just lack of being informed. Because if you do know about the tattoo even being offered, do you know about ways that it can be covered? Are people providing you these resources, or are they expecting you, someone who's already dealing with so much and you have so much on your plate, to go have the time to research and to find out and to call the insurance company and do appeal after appeal until you get approval or reimbursement? Typically, that's not something that someone who just went through the breast cancer journey has the energy or the time for.
And Eraina, what do you think are the biggest kinds of hurdles to connect breast cancer survivors with people like Taylor?
Yeah, I agree with what she said. I mean, by them not covering it, I really do think it should be covered as part of, because it, like I said, it's not just the physical parts of it, there are emotional parts of it as well. And that just it helps with the whole process, like from beginning to end. And I feel like that should be the end part. That's the part of completion for me.
That's exactly what you talked about in your article, Taylor, right? Providing comprehensive oncology care to these women.
Right. I believe that yes, you ring the bell at the hospital whenever you are clear, like, you're showing that you're clear of cancer, but then you go home and you still look in the mirror and you have your young daughters who are looking at you, and you just have this physical reminder every day weighing on you that you're really not able to move on from. So I believe that the tattoo is really the actual final step of that chapter and kind of just lets you go on into your next journey, like I was saying earlier.
Do you have anything to add, Eraina, to close us out?
I actually do. The piece that she said about looking in the mirror and looking at yourself, I believe when you first start the journey, they show you all of these images of, I think, bad things that you could come out looking like, all of the horrific images you see of people who did not have a good experience or have all of the final things done. But I feel like the images of what I had done and the videos of what I had done, I feel could be inspiring to so many women who are just being diagnosed. Like, it doesn't have to be dreadful. In the end, you could come out looking like this. This could be your final piece. This could be the final part that you have. And that's empowering to me to know, hey, I can have a positive outlook and I can have a positive outcome if I see this all the way through. And this is a part of my healing and my journey. And this is the final piece.
Thank you, Eraina, and thank you, Taylor. You can read Taylor's full article and her clinical recommendations in the latest issue of Oncology Issues. It's in your email inbox now. Until next time, I'm Summer Johnson.